Okay, now we're going to go through another trend continuation pattern called the trend line break. Just a simple trend line break with the trend. The trend line break shows a continuation of the prior trend, and the problem is with trend line breaks that I have found with traders over the number of years is that traders will try to pick and choose trend line breaks with the trend. A trend line break with the trend is a good pattern if you take them all, but you must take them all. That's the secret of trading a trend line break with the trend. Remember, as I said prior, when you're drawing trend lines, what you want to do when you're drawing trend lines, they have to come from the outside the 100. 200 is even better. And you must have at least 2 touches to be a bona fide trend line. The more touches, the better. The strength is more with 3, 4, 5 touches. Okay, here's some trade setups and some examples of a trend line break. You'll notice here we got on a Russell 5-minute chart. We had an uptrend and kind of a sideways type market as well. Not really any conviction in the market, and you can see that. And we went down to extremes, and then we come back through, and because we were above the zero line for all those bars and we went to extreme, we start looking for a trend line break with the trend to go to the prior trend to the upside. We get it crossing that trend line, and you see the angle crossing it, and it just continues up. So you can see that's what you call a trend line break with the trend. Now let me also explain something on this video here. We have the trend line break with the trend. You notice we get into the trend line break right down in this area right here, these 2 bars. If you use standard technical analysis and lagging indicators, you would get in on the break of these swing highs right here as a breakout trade. You see those swing highs there as a breakout trade. That's why you have all those big bars, because traders in the world are getting in on a standard technical analysis of taking out those swing highs, getting in on the breakout and using lagging indicators. As I said, the trend line break with the trend got us in down here. So we're in the trade here 2, 3 bars ahead of the rest of the world. And as I mentioned earlier, this is the key to trading the CCI and the CCI patterns. They get you in 1, 2, 3 bars ahead of the rest of the world. And you can clearly see that on this chart. Clearly see that. We're in the trade, we're establishing the trade, and then we let the rest of the trading world with their lagging indicators and standard technical analysis move it for us. A key point, especially for day traders. So keep that in mind, and that's why I always say you must take every trend line break with the trend. You can't pick and choose, because if you pick and choose, you're not going to get into the trade. You're going to always pick the one that doesn't work. So you got to take them all, and you get into a nice trade like this and have a beautiful, beautiful trade. So that's a trend line break long, and this is a trend line break short. Again, we draw our trend line on this case from a turbo at -200. Got a touch here on another turbo, a touch here. Remember I said the stronger the number of touches on the trend line, the better off the trade. So we had good downtrend. We went up, come back again. That was not a GB100 per se there, because it really just touched the 100. If some people might have scaling where it went above, it even could be a GB100 as well. But you can see that trend line break with the trend and got you in right in this area here. Normal technical analysis people got in at the low here on breaking that low. That's why that big bar there. but we're into the trade at least 2 bars ahead of the rest of the world with a trend line break with the trend for another nice trade. Next, I'm going to show you a couple of live examples of the trade in progress. Again, we have an uptrend in place. We have a trend line break. It's not a zero line reject because the sidewinder is red. Remember, it's zero line reject, we would have to have green or yellow on the sidewinder. This has red, but it's a trend line break resuming the trend again. Our trigger bar is here. It's about plus 115. And we get into that trade long. Now let's keep an eye on that. Trend line break with the trend, not a zero line reject. There we go. Boom, look at that. Right up to extremes. Why? Because we resumed the prior trend. And it got us into the trade. And we just stay with that because it didn't get across the plus 100, bounced right away from major support, coming back down again, down through it, and exit on crossing back through the plus 100. So there is a beautiful, beautiful trend line break with the trend. It was not a zero line reject. So this is a trend line break with the trend. Now, many people, as I said, pick and choose, and that's why I don't push trend line breaks with the trend, because they will not take every one of them. You must take every one of them to give you the high probabilities. So let's go back and play this back again. Nice down trend line, 3 touches on that trend line. Look at the angles breaking that trend line. Look at the angles of that moving. You're trading a momentum indicator. That's what you should expect when you're trading a momentum indicator. Just beautiful. Standard technical analysis, it comes back to test major resistance or support, which in this case was support, and bounced right away from it. Went up, made new highs, and then you come back and cross it and get you out of the trade. So again, a very, very good trend line break with the trend. Let's take a look at it again. We're in 814.80, 814.80 on the Russell. We're now up at 816.20. Bounce away, up at 816.50, 817, 817.40, 817.40 on the high. So we got in at 816, 814.80, 817.40. That's almost 30 ticks. Again, look at how that goes once you get in the trade. CCI traders around the world getting in. Just a beautiful, beautiful trade. The other thing is, people, you notice I don't have any stinking candlesticks showing or price bars. Why? Because you don't need them. You're trading on the patterns on the CCI indicator. So another reason why these trades are so unique, revolutionary, and why they do so well. Okay, we got one more here. This is a short. We got a pattern here is we're looking for shorts on the pattern, but we don't have 3 bars on the chop zone indicator. We do have yellow, but we don't have 3 bars. But we can draw a nice trend line. So here we have a trend line break with the trend to the short side. Good angle down, breaking that trend line on a good angle. And let's watch this trade go. Continue with the good angle down. Even more of an angle down right now. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Nice trade. No reason to get out of this trade. This is on the Russell 5-minute chart. Exit, crossing the plus 100. Excuse me, the minus 100. So that's a beautiful trade. Let's go back and play that fast again. Trend line break, 823, short. Not a zero line reject because we did not have 3 brown on the chop zone indicator. 823 is what we got in. But down here at 820, 820.30, and we got out. Another almost a 30-point move on the Russell 5-minute. So again, trend line break with the trend. The key on this pattern is that you must take them all. You cannot pick and choose trend line breaks with the trend. It's a good pattern, but you have to take them all. And that is the end of the trend line breaks with the trend.